That's all right, I got it. Let me just find the agenda. Oh my gosh, where is it? All right, we'd like to welcome everyone to Mapleton City Council meeting on December 1st, 2021. All present except for Jim Lumberg. We will begin by Pledge of Allegiance led by, can you do it? Read, please. Councilman Carlson, and a invocation by Council Member Egbert.
Citizens to discuss important issues tonight. We're so thankful for the opportunity to gather and make these decisions and the freedom that it requires to do so. We ask that you please bless us, that our minds will be open to receiving important information, and that we will be able to make those decisions that would best benefit our community. We're thankful for this wonderful land that we live in and for the freedoms we have, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
The audience, please rise and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have anybody on public forum, so we'll move forward with the agenda and look for any questions on our consent agenda. Questions or a motion?
I'd just like to say that I thought number 2 on the affordable housing was well written and kind of pretty well states our feeling and belief here. So just whoever wrote it, thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
We'll see what the state says.
Yes.
We'll see if they feel the same way.
They haven't read them for the last several years, I don't think.
Hey,
They're pretty bad.
all of your writing's gotten so much better since we hired, oh my gosh.
Madison.
Madison. Yeah, so thank you, Madison. Sean?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jones, a second by Councilman Carlson.
Carlson, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Jones, yes.
All right, we'll move forward to item number 3. It's a public hearing item, consideration of an ordinance to rezone approximately 3.25 acres located at 775 South, 1600 West from A2 to RA1, from A2 and RA1 to GC1. Sean?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So the subject property is 3 1/4 acres in size on the northeast corner of 800 South and Highway 89. There is a single-family dwelling currently on the site that would be most likely removed as part of a future commercial project at this location. This is the existing zoning, so you see the red areas are the existing general commercial. That's Harvest Park and the former Abington to the south. The existing parcel is split between the A2 and the RA1 zone, and then the parcel to the north is the new middle school. The general plan identifies this area as flex use. As you recall, the flex designation is meant to allow for a property owner to propose either a residential or a commercial zone. And so what the applicant is proposing is to rezone the parcel to GC1, general commercial. They have not yet identified a particular project for the site. The code does require a concept plan, which they've provided. However, they've indicated that that's not necessarily a project that they're putting forward at this time. It was just some initial thoughts at how it could potentially develop. And so the council certainly could request that this be tabled until there be a formal proposal, or you could move forward just with the understanding that once it's zoned general commercial, that any of the uses in that zone would be appropriate. Commercial zones are a little bit different than residential in that it's helpful in order to determine what the market is for what proposed uses could go there to have the zoning in place. We did something similar for the old Olson Sheep Farm, that large parcel there that was both commercial and industrial. We rezoned them without an approved concept plan under the same basic premises that it would allow the applicant to further market the parcel and determine what uses might be most appropriate or what the market could support. So for those reasons, staff is recommending approval. This was the concept plan that was shown. It's similar, kind of a mixed-use proposal, what you'd see across the street at Harvest Park, but again, this was just one idea. The applicant can speak a little bit more to what their intentions are for the parcel, but again, staff would recommend approval.
With this being a public hearing item, we will open it for public comment. Seeing there are none, we'll close the public comment. And with that being the case, is there any questions, comments, anything else?
Go ahead. No, you first.
I just happened to read through the zoning change, I guess, of the zone. There's a couple things I wasn't clear on. I don't know
Reed,
that
Reed, will you push, is the button on your microphone down there?
it's green.
It's green?
It's green.
If you
Speak
speak a
into
little
it.
closer, let's see.
Is that better?
Oh, there
There you go.
I have to speak right into it. I noticed it said that it allowed outdoor storage, and then lower down it said you had to have special approval for outside storage. Is there a difference between outdoor storage and outside storage?
Yeah, in the definitions section of the code, it defines those. What outdoor storage is when it's related to a commercial use is very limited. It's like you'd see at a grocery store where they have items outside that are displayed
sale.
For sale, correct.
Okay.
So it's not like a salvage yard or something like that. Those uses would be in an industrial zone. So the outdoor storage in the commercial zone would be just very small portions of the site that are dedicated to items that are part of a retail
Okay.
establishment.
I noticed that gas stations are also allowed. I was a little concerned that they might not be a good location for a gas station.
Yeah.
Or maybe a convenience store with the school right by it.
Mhm.
I don't know. You know, I don't want to take kids away from school to get down there and get candy and stuff, you know what I mean?
Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Is that the applicant? I'm curious to know, and I understand the concept is simply a concept, but would this project be an owner-occupant or a spec project? Can you speak to that, please?
Casey, you come up and you have to state your name, Casey.
Your social security and your address.
Yeah.
I'm Casey Warren. No, so that, yes, part of it would be owner occupied
Okay.
because that's
You have a dental practice, is that correct?
orthodontic practice,
Orthodontist,
yeah.
okay.
So yes, part of it would be definitely
Okay,
owner
good.
occupied, yeah. Yeah, we
Welcome
want
to
something,
town.
we want something nice there because that's where, I think it's gonna be a great site for my business. And so we want something nice there. We wanna use it the best we can in that area. Obviously reflecting like the corners, like that now has a stoplight. So all the different corners there, a lot of it has commercial on the bottom and residential on the top. But we want it to reflect kind of what the corner would be like. That's our thoughts right now. But yes, my plan is to be part of it. Obviously, not all of it would be owner occupied, but yes, yeah.
Is there a way to kind of give some scope on a 3.5-acre parcel? Potentially, how many square foot of commercial versus residential are we talking? I mean, can you give us a gauge of that, Sean?
It really depends on how much how much you can park. So depending on what type of commercial use, there's going to
Okay.
be a parking requirement, and then that dictates how much parking you need, and that affects
I
how
see.
big the buildings are. But as far as the commercial residential split, the main floor has to be commercial, and then you can do residential on the upper floors.
I really don't have a problem personally with the zone change at all. What I personally care about is the aesthetic.
Sure.
And simply, you know, so much concern about that highway turning into State Street in Orem, which that's not my concern, but being mindful of views and height of buildings, that kind of thing, those are things that are, and I know we have commercial guidelines, I understand that, but that's what I personally care about in this case.
Yeah, I definitely want it to look nice, for sure, absolutely.
There's some pretty stringent stuff in the commercial guidelines as far as materials and heights and entrances and all that
Yeah.
stuff, so.
Yeah,
And you're across the street from a very well-designed concept at Harvest Park. You're
Oh, yeah.
across the street from
Yeah.
something that's really well-designed, so
Yeah,
it'll
I mean-
continue something that,
yeah, and
Looks
Harvest
good.
Park has, yeah. It won't be another Keebler house, so I'm telling you right now.
you're all good,
Okay,
you're all good.
right. All right, okay.
Is that home's currently occupied, isn't it?
It's rented to, yeah.
And,
there's-
but you own the whole property
I do.
right now? Okay, so they're
Correct.
renting from you. So changing it from residential to, well, do you have a timeline?
You know what, I mean, hopefully we don't go into recession with the new coronavirus, right? I mean, there's so much to play. I mean, obviously I want to get going on it, I do. And so the one thing is, yeah, as soon as we can get this taken care of, then it'd be the next step. On what Sean was saying too, is like obviously I'm gonna be there, but then what else could we actually put there to benefit the city as well? I know a couple dentists have approached me too, who might want to move into that area as well.
So you're looking for tenants, sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some, yeah. And what I'm saying, those are gonna be pretty much people, pretty stable, wanna keep things nice, clean, reflective of the city as well. So, yeah, absolutely.
That's sort of, I share the same concerns as Reed has regarding the potential variability of just giving a sort of a blanket commercial approval when technically, if you changed your mind, sold, or if someone approached you and said, hey, they put a gas station in or put something else that might be less appropriate, but that we have no control over at that point, or limited control over at that point. So that's what concerns me. And orthodontic practice is perfect for that area. You know, something that's office oriented. But for me, my biggest concern is it's the difference with the sheep farm. That abuts a middle school property. And so there are different sensitivities and risks. There's new traffic patterns and things like that to consider. So for me, I have a lot of concerns with not having a more solid concept on there. Yeah.
For me, I think the idea of going commercial is not an issue at all. I think our commercial design standards covers a lot of my concerns as far as aesthetics. The parking restrictions, if it goes partial residential, covers that concern for me. It's a commercial corner to me, and I think we can deal with the future potential conflicts of what potentially commercial could go in there at that time. But going commercial for tonight's decision is just whether we're going to go commercial or not. I don't have any problem with that.
Any other questions for Casey, or we can have him sit down if not?
You're in Springville right now. I mean, so your same patients would probably follow you here, wouldn't they?
I'd probably have 2 locations. I mean, the way the growth is going, yeah, I don't anticipate leaving Springville and just moving here. No, I don't.
Okay.
Yep, that's a good question though, yeah. Yep, but I'm sure some patients will come up this way, yeah, for sure, depending on where I am that day, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't think of a better location than orthodontic office there, but yeah.
Mapleton's a good place, as you know.
I've lived here all my life. Yeah, I have. My grandpa's right there on the wall.
Oh, you're one of those Warrens.
I
Yeah.
am. Whatever you want to define that to be.
I simply,
Anyway, yeah, I am, yeah. I mean, you got to define those, I guess, but yeah.
you're a Mapleton Warren. That's what I mean by
Talk
that.
about what
100%. If
those
you're talking about my Uncle Jesse, we can talk later about that, but anyway. He's passed away, so hopefully just, but yeah.
Okay, if you don't have any more questions for Casey, we'll let him sit down and look for a motion or
Let me
questions
ask
for
one
Sean.
quick question to Sean, just to confirm, clarify something for me, and this speaks to what Jessica and Reed have brought up. Okay, when you think about the worst-case scenario, I'm sure with your plans, it's, I think the odds are pretty good that you're going to go through and own or occupy and build it. However, should you decide to sell to the highest bidder, and somebody comes in and proposes a gas station and changes that concept, help me just clarify what latitude we have with a complete change of concept.
Yeah, once the zoning's in place, then if they meet the zoning standards, they would,
They could change it to whatever they wanted to do.
They would understand that they could have an
Yeah, okay,
approval.
that's
for
Well,
that.
not whatever they wanted to do. I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of, I mean, in the end, there's, the chance of gas station going there are slim to none, because we have, I mean, the gas stations are on the north and the south
Sure,
end
the
of town.
economics of it don't bear out.
Yeah, they
No,
don't
I
bear
get-
out,
yeah.
and so it's just, sorry.
But it's anything within the commercial zone, regardless of what the concept is, those options are on the table potentially, okay? Well, I'll make a motion to approve the rezone request from RA, thank you, to rezone approximately 3.25 acres located at 775 South, 1600 West from agriculture, from A2 and RA1 to general commercial.
I second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jones, a second by Councilman Lundberg.
I'm going to disclaimer this because I would prefer waiting till a formal proposal. So Egbert, no, I don't have a problem with commercial, but on this vote I do.
Garrett, yes.
Jones, yes.
Lundberg, yes.
Carlson, I agree with Jessica. I would like to see, but, so I would vote no. But I think commercial's great, done properly there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks
Yep.
for serving the city. Thanks. Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome to stay if you'd like.
You said you agreed with Jessica, but I don't think you said nay, or did you?
I
He did. He said no.
Oh.
You said no, right? Okay, thanks. We'll move on to item number 4, consideration of a resolution to enter into a contract with Precision Concrete Cutting for sidewalk trip hazard repair, and we'll have Mr. Lord address us.
Okay, thank you. Sorry I was late tonight. This one's kind of just a follow-up from the discussions we've had on the sidewalk master plan. We've shown that before, so everything that I needed to talk about is in the packet. Really what I want to do is Precision Concrete Cutting are the best there are at this. They do they have a proprietary method of taking care of trip hazards, which really saves the sidewalk and stops you having to replace everything. So my proposal is that we basically enter this 3-year contract with them, gives us a fixed price for 3 years. And then the follow-up piece to that is I want to go ahead and repair all the sidewalk hazards that you've seen in that master plan, and use the budget that we have to do that. We'd go up to our budgeted amount this year, and then continue to fund the budget every year with going forward for continual replacement. Part of the contract with them is we'd have them go out and survey 1/5 of the city. That's the plan, that we kind of have a maintenance schedule to survey the whole city every 5 years. So in each year, we take one quadrant of the city, or not a quadrant, a quintrant, that's not a thing, 1/5 of the city. They'd go survey it. If they find any more hazards in that area, they'll fix those. And then we move forward. So that's the proposal. Happy to answer questions.
I have just a simple one. I know they're not allowed to use the water cooling for a blade. Do they use a blade, or do we pay more because they can't use water cooling? Or does that even have anything to do with how they do it?
Yeah, I'm not sure that really has anything to do with it.
And it sounded like that was their requirement, not our.
Right.
So does it generate a lot of dust?
No, they do a really nice job, and you know, we're talking about grinding off these little lips, right?
Oh, yes.
So, no, they control the dust, take care of all of that. We've had them do them before. These are kind of our preferred guys.
I've seen what they do,
We
but I
just-
haven't seen them actually doing the job to see what it entails.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of, I'm still not 100% clear on what the agreement contemplates and the fee for service provision based on the services actually performed. There's the exhibit that references the calculation thereof. Then it says, and not to exceed a budget amount will be agreed upon before service begins. So how does that work?
Yeah, so essentially, this project we want them to do is a really good example. So we really don't know exactly the nature of each one of the hazards, right? So they can't come out and tell us this piece of sidewalk is
Right.
gonna cost X amount of dollars. So what we do is we have all of these hazards and we'll tell them we have, I don't remember what our budget right now is, let me find it. We have about $152,000 in the budget this year. I'll bring that down probably to 90% of that and tell them, here are all the locations of the hazards, you can spend this much money. And they will then fix those hazards until they hit that amount. And so,
At this calculation?
yes, at this calculation.
Okay.
So they keep a running total, we go out and inspect it and are involved in that
Okay.
process. So that's kind of how that works.
So a budget right now is something less than what is in there, the 150 number, right?
So our budget as it stands right now, in our adopted budget, there's $152,000 left, right? To go and do all of the sidewalk hazards, depending on their size, is somewhere between $80,000 and $175,000. So we're looking at probably it being an average of that. So it's probably gonna be $120,000 to $130,000 to do everything. But if it turns out most of those trip hazards are on the high end, then it'll be a little more expensive. But we will not exceed the budget amount, wherever we set that.
So you can set can you dictate what some of the priority ones that you want to make sure we get this year? Or are you just going to say, these are the ones that, the ones that we've identified,
Right.
and this is how much money you have to
So
spend?
going forward, we will. This year, we can potentially say these are priority locations, but in the future, what we'll do is, because they'll go out and they'll survey that 1/5 of the city, they'll come back and they will know exactly
Yeah,
every trip hazard. At
because
that
that hasn't been
point,
done yet, right?
yeah, well, it's been done to identify the hazard, but not the measuring that they do.
Right.
And the measuring is free. They do that for free. We can't have them go measure the whole city right now.
Right.
So they're gonna do it as they go, if
Got
that
it.
makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, in the future, we'll look at it and see if their budget amount comes in lower than we expected, or if not, we'll tell them, go hit the highest priority pieces, and we'll roll the next ones into the next year.
So that's up until June, we'll spend that much money.
Yeah, yeah.
That's this year, and nothing's been spent so far.
No, there have, but that's what's left.
That's
That
what's left,
152 is the balance when I wrote this report, and I'm not sure we've spent any more sidewalk money since then, so. But whatever it is, the day I go contract with them, it'll be 90% of what I've got left. Set that, and then they'll go, and we'll keep monitoring it as we go. That's the plan.
I got a couple.
Yeah.
One's a missing text grammar thing, and the other one's a item that I want to discuss. So the first one is on page 1, under agreement number 2, subsection C, under cleaning. The sentence just ends mid-sentence.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It might be because where I'm from, Theron, I don't know.
So I just want to make sure that was clarified.
They read
Okay,
from
tell
left
me
to
again what
right.
section that is. I didn't write this, but tell me again the section.
2C.
Page 1,
Page
agreement
1.
2, subsection C, under
Okay.
cleaning.
2C, got it.
So very end of page 1.
Okay.
Then, on page 4, under number 14, claims and disputes, it talks about going directly to litigation if there's a claim, or if there's a dispute. Is there any consideration of going to arbitration or mediation instead at first?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can throw that in there.
I'd like to see it in there.
So we'll go arbitration before litigation. Got it.
So yeah, you didn't quite hear you. What you were saying there?
So under the claims and disputes section, it dictates that if there is a dispute.
Yeah, I
that
heard
we
what you
go-
said, but what are you proposing to do?
Throw in there an option for our arbitration.
Oh.
Before,
Option as a.
As in, we go there first.
as in we go to
before-
arbitration
Yeah,
first.
well, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting we,
I am suggesting
First step.
I am suggesting we require the first step be arbitration and then, or mediation,
Is that the right word?
and then,
big difference, so mediation is.
I'm so glad you're here, Jim, when I do these.
Litigation, then arbitration.
Okay.
sorry, yes.
a mediation, you're bound by the decision,
No,
right?
that's arbitration.
Okay.
So that's the question. I think if you want to have a dispute resolution provision that says parties agree to mandatory mediation,
Okay,
that's good. That's the parties sit down and try to get it resolved.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to get to,
If
yeah.
we're not successful, then I do like the idea of going to arbitration, because arbitration, you use an expert as a judge, like an engineer, that presumably has more knowledge than a civil judge. So I like that. That could be the second step of a dispute resolution process. But I would end it there, meaning if you have
Okay.
an arbitration provision as part of a dispute resolution, usually you say, that's it. You
That's
don't
the
go to
end.
litigation. It's
Okay.
binding arbitration, both parties agree to be bound by the ultimate resolution of a certified expert, meaning an arbitrator,
okay.
that both parties select.
We probably have that in a contract
question you
provision
do.
somewhere, so maybe,
If-
Kimmel, we can get together
If
and
need
find
be,
out.
I can provide you with a dispute resolution clause that we can throw in there.
So if it's okay, well, you haven't voted yet, so if you vote that we can do this, I'm happy to put something back together and have Jim, maybe you read it through again one
Yeah,
more
just-
time before
We'll
I.
just replace 14 with a dispute resolution
Okay.
clause, is all you need to say as
That
part of
ends
the
at
motion.
arbitration.
What's that?
That ends at arbitration.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned. I like that.
Okay.
You're planning on just using their contract here, Stephen, or are you gonna?
That was their template, and that's.
Yeah,
just-
we can easily throw in a 14,
Yeah.
replace section 14 with something that works easily.
Yeah, I made some edits of my own when I got it, but, that was from the technical side more than anything else, so this is great. These are exactly the comments I need.
Did you have any other ones? Darren, I had one, just,
No, those were my only two.
do we have a standard policy with respect to general liability insurance on our contractors? Because it's blank in this.
Yes, is it blank in there?
Yeah.
Okay, that was something else I was
Does-
supposed to edit. It's, is it $1 million? It's $1 million
Million per occurrence
full.
and 2 million aggregate?
That's it, $1 million per occurrence, 2 per aggregate.
I would make that change
Make that explicit, okay,
before you send it over, because right now it's blank.
okay.
And just send it over to me and I'll look at it, and then I can throw in a dispute resolution
Okay.
section.
Okay. Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Any other questions for Stephen? Comments?
We're in a lot better shape this year, knowing what's wrong with our sidewalks and fixing them than we were last year, so way to go.
Thanks.
All right. Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Darren.
was gonna say,
Or Reed.
I'll make a motion to approve this resolution and contract with the comments that we've made relative to, I guess, conflict resolution and also the liability standards.
Second?
A motion by Councilman Carlson, a second by Councilman Garrett.
Garrett, yes.
Jones, yes.
Lundberg, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Stephen. All right, with that, we will move into administrative reports, start with Chief.
Very, very fast tonight, so one from each department. So from the fire department, the fire engine's got its stickers on, they're pretty excited about it, it's in California. I think it leaves Friday morning to come up here, so it'll be here next week. Chief will probably be reaching out to you about some ways to break that thing in, or the first spray it with water. So there's something they do, I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Yes, something like that. So it should be here next week. On the police side, we've got a little issue going on in town. We got to nip it now. We haven't found it yet, but boy, the vandalism is just alive and well out there right now. So got vinyl fences getting kicked in every weekend, but sometimes through the week too. And then even the night before last, somebody drove up on a resident's lawn and hooked into their Christmas decorations and drove off. And
Are you serious?
so, yeah, we're fighting that right now. So the guys are out working on that, and hopefully they can find out who's doing that. But it's probably a few groups, to be honest with you. So that's what's going on in the police world. So they're out looking for that. So other than that, nothing else.
Okay, keep up the good work. Thanks, Chief. Mr. Conroy.
One quick one. We are going to bring at the next meeting or in the next meeting or two, we'll bring some proposed amendments to the transportation master plan, just road designations, mostly to address the rural cross-section, the country lane cross-section that we talked about a little while ago. But one issue's come up that we kind of need to get a resolution on. The city's transportation plan has always had kind of this long-range vision of a Maple Street extending west and then eventually connecting to where 1600 South, the new on-ramp is. UDOT studied that several years ago and came up with a host of reasons of why that was a really difficult alignment. But we've kept it on our transportation plan. We've now got a couple of the parcels that would have to go through that are in some wetland areas. There's some development possibility there. And so we're gonna need to make some decisions on that particular extension of the roadway. So just as a FYI, we'll get information out to you so you can have a better understanding of what we're talking about and some of the challenges. But that's just one of the items we'll be discussing in the near future. Any other insight on that one, Stephen? Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Stephen.
Okay, update on ARPA funding. So remember a few months ago, we put some funding applications together for a couple of water projects. We did not get them. Here's some context.
It's because you didn't say water.
It might be
You said
that.
water.
Yeah, and I said.
They probably were confused.
I said ARPA and they had
They're like,
no
"There's
idea
no
what that
ARPA for
was.
that."
Yeah, that's,
You didn't know what ARPA was.
that's exactly right. So here's the context. If I can just be serious for a second, please. $50 million awarded, $1 billion applied for. In fact, it was $1,076 million applied for. $856 million just on water and sewer projects. And we had about $2 or $3 million of that was for us, so we didn't get any of it. I looked through the list of all the communities that were awarded money. Almost every single one of them was rural. So a lot of small communities. So there's more money coming. We can try again, but with that much need out there and that many applications, it's probably looking pretty slim for us.
Well, we'll have a chance to make some decisions soon on water with bonding or other options as soon as our study's done. So as soon as we get that rate study back, we'll dive into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that's all I got. So not good news, but there you go.
that's a bummer. Thanks for going through the process.
Yep.
All right, Reed?
Might just bring you up to speed on the solid waste district and the transfer station. Things are still progressing, still have challenges with steel and materials, but we're moving along, trying to juggle the costs and manipulate things so it can still stay within the budget that we plan on. It's a challenge, but we're still, thinks we have a way to do it.
There's a contractor selected to do it?
Kind of, but it depends, it's Hughes,
Oh,
but they're kind of like taking care of basically everything for us. They will have first rights to, we'll have some others bid on it and make sure that they are in line with it, but they've been putting everything together for us and laying down the plan and everything.
a design build.
Yes.
Okay.
That's kind of a little bit of a challenge. It's not quite a design build, but it kind of is. And I think they've been handling about 15% more tonnage there than they did last year, so it's just been really throwing a lot of stuff away this year.
Wow.
But a lot of it's been hauled directly out to it hasn't gone to the transfer station. They've worked it out to where the haulers are taking it directly to the landfill.
Okay.
So far, so good.
All right, good. Thanks, Reed.
Okay.
All
my
right,
turn?
Jessica, yes.
It's not as long as usual. I didn't have a meeting. I did, however, follow up with Representatives White and Malloy's from Lehigh about sponsoring legislation and obtaining funding directed toward recruitment and retention of public safety officers. I know new proposals are due tomorrow, so I'll check in and see if they're able to kind of get something together. I submitted a proposal for the Parks and Rec Committee, so you'll see that it's large. I did have a question, though, about the Sidewalks Master Plan. Some of what we talk about with, like, Maine Maple 1600, is there any, I'm wondering what the positive and negatives are with Mapleton taking over those from UDOT, and are they interested? I mean, obviously, us maintaining things, but we have a safety issue. So what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, we're kind of, we meet with UDOT Region 3 Director once a quarter. We met with him, was it 6 weeks ago, Dallas? Is that about right?
About that.
A couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was on the agenda.
Yeah.
So they're kind of actively looking on their side of whether they are they are interested in that jurisdictional transfer. They're looking on their side what that means, and what, what that transfer would look like. I think from our perspective, we've always been interested. It gives us control. Obviously, it brings in a maintenance cost along the road, but it gives us more options, more control.
Okay.
We can go and do things a little more easily. So there are some cons, but I think the negatives probably outweigh that. We're probably not to the point where a decision needs to be made yet, but
Well, I'm
I'd
excited
like
about
to
the
see it.
potential, especially as we talk about sidewalks and having to
Yeah.
wait on them and getting those easements and that kind of stuff, so, okay.
Well, my
great.
position was always, we didn't want it until they did the overlay, until they rebuilt it.
yeah.
And now that they've done that,
Well,
now it's
yeah,
more interesting.
It's in a much better position now. I wouldn't have wanted it even like 2 years ago, so, okay, thanks, that was my only question.
Excellent. All right, Theron.
I can't remember, Sean, did we update them on the visit we did on the 30 acres south of town?
No,
So
no, you're welcome.
Sean and I met with a amateur mountain bike trail designer and went out there and walked the land and the 30 acres that were traded there in that development.
Yeah, that's the
Sorry, I'll
that's
get
the
closer.
Mapleton Village was donating 30 acres to us. That's just east of the trail,
Yeah.
just east of the transfer station.
Amateur designer?
He's an amateur designer. He's a professor at BYU, and
So has he
he's
done it before?
He's hand-built lots and lots of miles of trails. He's not me. He's a friend of mine. But he has lots of contacts, and I've reached out to some actual designers, mountain bike trail designers. So anyways, he was very, very excited. I don't know about Sean, but I got even more excited about it because the lay of the land and the topography is awesome for a mountain bike trail. It's going to be
Just make
sweet.
sure we reserve a spot for two-wheelers with motors. Dirt bikes? I'm just kidding. Is that,
I'm not going to say anything.
just kidding.
So yeah, anyways, it could potentially be really a great asset for the city, and it is adjacent to the already paved trail. So
Yeah, if
Just gotta-
anybody wants to go look at it, let me or Logan know. We'd be happy to take you out. It's got
pretty
some really
neat.
cool potential.
so that's an update on that. Update on the vehicle fleet management system that Steve and I have been working on. It's been a little bit slow in the last few weeks, but we're still making progress on getting the database created. Database is there, and we've received information on every vehicle in the fleet, with the exception of the fiber network guys. They still haven't got us theirs. Although I saw 2 new trucks out here. Is that theirs? Yeah, sweet. Okay. Do they know about the telematics system that you went with, or should we talk about that at all? So Steve's done some great work on doing some, acquiring some telematics systems for monitoring and maintenance. So I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah, we just actually finished the installation this week. We now have Verizon Connect is the company we went with, and their GPS units in all the vehicles. So the whole fleet now is GPS enabled, and automatic mileage tracking, automatic maintenance alerts, and things like that. So it's that we've been pretty excited about getting that done.
Making big headway on vehicle
Yeah.
tracking.
Did we look at the insurance insurance discounts with the monitoring?
Camille's gonna do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the ABCs, acceleration, braking, and cornering. You can save a lot of money. I know,
right.
because my car is driving.
That's right. Awesome.
Or, depending on how we drive, it might cost
Yeah.
us a lot. We might
Yeah,
wanna
That's true.
decide.
But
So far, it's just been interesting to see where
They'd be
I
like,
speed
why
and
does
where
this
I don't."
truck always drive on the left side?
You'll
of the
know
road?
exactly who is doing what.
I'll just say the abuse that might be curbed might pay for the extra cost. Anyways, that's all I had, except for, could we get an update on the high chlorine issue?
Oh, yeah, yes, we can, absolutely. Pretty straightforward as it turned out. So we had a development, and this is, when development goes in, we put in brand-new pipe in the ground. That pipe's been sitting on the floor, and it gets all dirty, right? So before we turn that into the drinking water system, they have to disinfect it. So they install it, and then they disinfect it. The way they do that is they fill it up with water before it is connected to our system, so all the valves are closed. And then they shock chlorinate it. That's kind of the less than technical term, but they just pump a bunch of chlorine in there, let it bake, let it sit, and then they flush all of that out. Once it's all flushed out, then we take bacteria tests to make sure it's all clean and disinfected. And at that point, once we get those good test results back, then we pass it off, then they can open the valves and turn it in. This particular development was designed in such a way that there was a fire hydrant just outside the development, and then, so there wasn't one at the end of the road, and then there was another one in the middle. They did their chlorination and flushed from that middle hydrant, and the conclusion we kind of came to is they pulled all the flushed and chlorinated water from one side, flushed it all out. So when we tested it for chlorine, it was good. And then when we turned it into the system, kind of the other side that was hyperchlorinated and hadn't been flushed, then entered the system.
So nothing systemic.
No, got a bunch of calls, took us a day to kind of figure it out, flushed it all out again, tested everything, and we were good. So it was a 24-hour issue.
Okay, great. Thanks, Theron. Leslie.
I don't have a committee report. However, I do want to acknowledge, driving in tonight, I had just a refreshed appreciation for the upgraded Christmas lights that we have here in our community, and I appreciate the mayor's willingness to assist with those additional resources in an unselfish way, so we can all benefit from those. And the Lights On event, Logan, you and your team, I thought it was a really great event. Lights were beautiful. Again, thank you for that additional resources to assist with that. So that's great.
Thanks, Leslie. Good job, Logan. Great job the other night with the first graders, and I think it's probably the most people we've ever had.
I was busy.
It was
Nice event.
magical.
Very nice.
There's a bunch of comments back about people were grateful it was free to get into that event and just be there, and so good job. Well done. All right, Jim.
Real quickly, just tomorrow night, I have a SUMWA meeting. We will be reviewing 2 offers to purchase the SUMWA property that, of course, Mapleton has an interest in. One of the offers is for $10 million plus and includes, basically, they want to do what's called an agri-hood. An agri-hood is basically a farm-based community where they have a full-time farm staff, and they have farming, homes clustered, but also have community farming that goes on out there for anybody that lives in the area. It's a little bit different than the community ski lake, but they have a community farming for
Pretty much the same, but a little different.
farming purposes too. So it's kind of cool. And so we're not going to approve it tomorrow. We're just reviewing those. So whoever ultimately takes that role on the city council, be aware that there's offers coming in on that, and ultimately they'll bring that back to you for determination of whether the city would like to approve an offer for the sale of that property. So that's just an issue that'll come forward. The others, just by way of disclaimer, I prepared an agreement for Sumwa and the city to sign relative, so Sean's looked at that, but I did that not as a city representative, but as a representative of Sumwa. So if there's any questions with respect to that, the conflict of interest, I'm waiving it at this point on behalf of the city. And you can sign that agreement or not.
Well, we're good at suing people, maybe in the city, so.
So that's just to avoid
Locked and
any
loaded.
malpractice claims or issues that might arise,
You
that I
better-
had a Sumwa hat on when I prepared that.
You better have a lot of stuff in there come after you personally.
So, anyway, that's it.
Jim, thank you. Thanks for all your selfless service for 12 years. Incredible. That's a long
You
time.
are welcome.
Is this your swan song tonight? Are we meeting again?
We've got something for, we do have to meet on the 15th? Oh, great, that's awesome.
Speaking of selfless service.
What? I said it was awesome. What are you talking about? So,
In the minutes.
if you could make it, will you be here?
That is highly, well, it's about a 50-50 chance that I'll be here, so I'll know
We,
We can do any other date, I just have to have this one item. It's with the, all of the redistricting and all of the maps that have been done of the different districts, and the city has to approve the voter participation areas. The county will not be done with it until Christmas break, but the city has to adopt something by January 1st of 2022. So we'll just have
so if we can arrange that when Jim can make it, we've got something for him, we can do that then. Okay.
is there a date when you could make it?
Well, I'm just, I'll know let's just plan on it, and I'll know next week for sure.
Okay.
And I'll reach out to you if I'm not, but I say tentatively plan on it.
So we will have to meet on the 15th for sure.
Okay. All right. Is that all you had, Camille? All right, Logan.
No, they weren't.
Did they get you?
They did. They were making fun of short people.
First round.
It was
But they
actually the
can't do a
first draft,
backflip
though. It was
like you
4
can.
foot. What's that?
Can't do a backflip like you can, though.
No, they can't. And I still can't do that.
You can?
I can't.
Wow. that's impressive.
Multiple. He did on the golf course. He saw it.
Uh-uh.
Standing backflip, right?
Yeah.
Standing backflip.
Yeah.
Can we have one for the record?
Maybe offline, yeah.
I don't know if the workman's comp would apply.
Leave it to the attorney to seriously
I think it's in your
ruin
job
everything.
Yeah, it's that other duties as assigned thing.
That's right.
For sure. So, I've got just 2 quick ones. So first was just another echoing what Leslie said with the lights on. Thanks for all those that came participate. It was a great event. We had 700 things of hot cocoa. They were gone in about 30 minutes. So, we're still trying to, you got one 700? I got one as well, and it was great. So, but it was really good, had really good feedback. The guys did awesome getting all the lights up in time, so that was a good, and they came on, so that was even better.
If we're gonna have this kind of participation, did anyone get food there? Like, did it last or was it gone quick?
So so J-Dogs was originally supposed to come. They just opened a new store up in Denver, so all their staff was heading to Denver. So they were slated to come. So, and then Madison and I were reaching out, food trucks, short-staffed. Nobody could commit to saying I could get somebody to work in a truck. So Chick-fil-A sold about 115 entrees.
Did they have more or did they sell
He
out?
had about 200.
Oh, good, so
Yeah.
there was extra, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, in the years past, they've usually planned about 100 apiece. So he was trying to double what normal would, but I think when people don't have options, they just don't get as much, but.
Gotcha.
So-
I'd love to see us give like a fundraiser option for
So
one of our
we
purposes.
reached out to a couple, and it just timing wasn't great for them, but we're hoping next year to have some more of
That'd be
those,
awesome.
those type, the scones, the bands, the school teams, those kind of stuff. So hopefully
Our
next year.
fire
we'll have-
department, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a great one.
Parks and Rec could use some.
Yeah. Yeah,
Public Works,
I'm
the
not
hot
eating
dogs.
anything Public Works prepares. Huh?
we'll have high chlorine.
You're gonna chlorinate it. That's more like it.
Sorry. It was only 24 hours. So anyways, that was a really great event. Hopefully everybody can continue to enjoy the lights. So, and the next one, so we met about a month ago, Jessica, Dallas, myself and Corey, on the expansion of the restroom over at the pickleball courts. So this is kind of a preliminary after meeting, getting some discussion. So I kind of just wanted to bring it forward with you guys, kind of give my thoughts on kind of direction with it, and then also maybe get a little bit of feedback. So the original bathroom would be sitting to the south, directly south of the playground. Yeah. So the current restroom sits right here in this space. So this is the new proposed location of it. It has doubled the capacity of our bathrooms. So right here on the east side, there's 2 family restrooms, and then we have just the traditional men's and women's restrooms here. Women's restroom, we currently have 4 partitions. We now have 8, or would have 8. And then the men's, we have 2 partitions and then 3 urinals. So that one would just an additional urinal. So this kind of just helps with the flow of with the addition of the pickleball courts. It also, if you kind of remember with Pioneer Day, this is kind of the main corridor. And so definitely a lot of foot traffic coming up through here. So there was some talk about a potential of splash pad. So that is put in there as a concept. Couple things you can obviously see, these are our soccer fields right here. If we add a splash pad in, at least in this location, it definitely takes away some of our playing field, which we're tight on anyways. But the splash pad idea, I think, is still a good, I just don't know if the timing's right now with this. There's some property to the west of Iron that Sean and Corey and myself are going to have some conversations with the landowners and maybe hopefully get something. And then if not there, then definitely want to look at options for a splash pad, because I think it would be a good benefit for the community. So, and then the bottom side right here is just a pavilion. Again, that was just kind of an added amenity, nothing that was set in stone. So, so that's kind of where it sits. This they put in here just for reference. So this would be the stage. The current stage sits about in right here. So if we did have stuff in right here, just kind of think of, Pioneer Day we got in right here. We just want to make sure we continue to have good view and good flow of stuff. So everything ties in really well with the existing sidewalks. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing, meets good. We would probably eliminate these plants right here and just go turf in through right here to just clean it up a little bit more. So anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. I just wanted to get a little bit of feedback. And
That might be an opportunity to use a little bit more local scaping, though, rather than turf, do the whole thing as a water-wise
Okay.
planting area.
Mhm.
So I'd recommend we consider that for some of those small areas. But
Okay.
it's cool to see it coming through.
Awesome.
Trample-proof,
Trample-proof.
because it's going to get trampled.
Yes, it will. A lot of people.
4th of July.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions?
They can be those pavers we want to sell with people's names on them, right?
There we go.
At least part of them. Little path through some conservation area with some bricks,
Yeah, we can look at those options for
families'
sure.
names.
Yeah, and that's what's really, I think, nice with this design. It really ties in. I mean, we're after the family concept here. One of the reasons too that this restroom would be a great addition. Currently, our bathrooms lock up April 31st. We don't have a way to, without winterizing them, the systems will freeze. This would leave us the capability of opening it or leaving it open through the winter months. The demand of play on the pickleball court has definitely opened our eyes that we need it available for a little bit longer. I mean, if it's 40 degrees, they're going to come play. If the sun's out, they're going to come play. So we might as well provide a good place for them to do it, or else they find their own. So another thought on that.
Amen.
Anyways, so that's what I got.
Any questions?
I like the pavilion concept, too. That's good
Yeah.
to start adding some of those out there.
That looks nice. I just had a quick question for Stephen. For the trail, the next thing we really need is the approval from the railroad. Is that progressing at all, or are they just quiet on their end, or we got to go back to the ranch, or do you
Yeah.
know?
So to use kind of a railroad analogy, you know those old things you used to have to pump up and down and they move you? That's about the speed we're moving.
That's
Yeah.
that's how they move, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you'd had any feedback or not.
We've got,
That's fine.
they're still, railroads got the concept designs, they don't like them. But they don't like them because they've never seen anything this innovative before. So they're kind of balking at the idea of doing something a little different. But it's gonna be expensive though. We know that now. It's gonna be way more expensive than we thought, or we'd hoped. I'm just nothing but bad news today.
Yeah, would you stop?
Yep.
Okay. All right,
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
yes.
Are we ready for that? I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.